But what it is something true, made up of these three words that I must say to you. I just want to say I love you. I just. Hi, that's a little Stevie Wonder for you. My name is James Heffron. I'm going to read my book. It's called The Roots of STEM. For Kyle, and for all of the amazing people who came to see me during those 9 days that I was in the hospital. It starts with a quote. The dual substance of Christ, the yearning, so human, so superhuman, of man to attain God, has always been a deep, inscrutable mystery to me. My principal anguish and source of all my joys and sorrows from my youth onward has been the incessant, merciless battle between the spirit and the flesh, and my soul is the arena where these two armies have clashed and met. Nikos Kazantzakis. I turned on the tap and did as I was told. As a priest in preparing the meal, I dutifully washed my hands before beginning. He had just finished reading War and Peace, and he wanted to reenact a scene. They called it an accident, but I know better. I'd like to imagine that I knew him better than anyone. But the truth is, I knew an aspect of him, one of his beings. It is in the fact that this one version of him that I knew so well continues to fill me with so much love for him, for the memory of him, that I like to think I knew all of him, but the truth is, I don't think any of us knew all of him. I do know fact, however, that at one point in his life, I knew him better than any other. We drove together. We traveled 2,941 miles together. We shared our lives together. For 3 weeks in May of '05, we were each other's companions. We shared our secrets. We shared our desires, but most importantly, it was in the shared silences that I felt I came to know him best. And it was in these rare moments of shared silence, him sleeping with his head on the dashboard, me slicing a banana and finding him watching, that I fell in love with him. I never desired him. I fell in love with him. We started our journey in New York. He had been temping for 3 months, and I had been working at an advertising agency. He was not meant to sit in an office, and although I had created what became a coined phrase across the nation, my higher-ups enjoyed the credit. He had always had ants in his pants, and he proposed the adventure at a rare moment in my life when I was ready to throw caution to the wind, or at least in so much as I was capable of doing. We collected money for gas by selling off any of my or his unnecessary belongings. We were determined to create a new life in LA, a non-New York life, a life not consumed by possessions. His possessions, however, had far less monetary value than did mine. They possessed much more personal value. There seems to be not too much interest in original sketches done in red lipstick by prospective buyers on eBay. My inherited headboard, however, would get us at least to Ohio, or so we had hoped. We would have to begin our journey with an immediate detour. Although he had neither the money for the mileage nor the means to get us there, Stem, in his usual way, convinced me to take a sojourn in Bellow Falls, Vermont. Too attached to let go of all his worldly goods and dejected by the internet shopping market, he insisted we make a visit to his family home where he could create a cache of his unframed canvases and antique store treasures in his mother's attic. I was easily convinced. I loved Mrs. Steeples. Though her beloved had died 13 years ago, Mrs. Steeples will always remain a Mrs. as opposed to a Ms. Though wholly a feminist from the era that had procured such an option, Mrs. Steeples will forever firmly defy her sisters on this front. She is altogether far too enamored by her deceased better half to have assumed his name at the time of their union. Thus it became that 7 months after their nuptials, she bore Stem Sycamore Steeples, as opposed to Stem Sycamore Steeples Fitzpatrick, as may have been anticipated by her fellow commune compatriots. Stem wasn't born in the commune. Mr. and Mrs. Steeples had moved off of what was a dissolving idea well before its unfortunate obliteration. However, they did buy a farm not too far away. in neighboring Bellow Falls, and it was always with pleasure that the pair maintained contact with their previous co-inhabitants. That's the first page. Talk to you later.